Say it with flowers. You could say that is the message of this week's Parashat. Parashat Vayishlach, the Parashat in which Jacob prepares to encounter his brother Esau after the many years of hostility and recrimination that has been between them. How does he prepare for this meeting? Understanding how Jacob prepares for this meeting may help us think about and prepare for any difficult meeting that we have, or a meeting with a difficult person. He prepares, as I'll say, our rabbis, three different ways. The first way that he does prepare is by sending gifts to Esau. By sending, if not flowers, he sends him camels, he sends sheep, he sends wave upon wave of matanot, of gifts. The second way he prepares is through prayer, because he recognizes, well, gifts may not be enough. So he prays to Hashem and he says, God, please help me through this difficult time that I'm about to face. And the third way he prepares, because prayer itself is sometimes not enough, nor are words of diplomacy. So the third thing that he does is he prepares for battle. And that is how it says he splits up his camp into two machanot, into two different camps, and he prays to prepare for a possible military encounter because he knows that Esau is arriving and bearing down with some 400 men, presumably armed men, that are accompanying him. So what do we see then? First thing you have to do when you have a meeting, and a meeting ahead with somebody who's difficult, is think about it and face your fears. Because Jacob faces his fears, and it says he was afraid. And he was afraid, say our rabbis, he was afraid that he may have to kill, but he was also afraid that he may be killed. But he is willing to face his fears. First step towards that difficult meeting is face your fears, acknowledge your apprehension. And then the second thing is, well, plan ahead. That's what Jacob does. He thinks ahead, he plots, he has techniques, he has a plan for how he will speak to his brother. So part of his plan then, as we've seen, was to send the messengers bearing gifts, to use diplomatic language, and if necessary, to actually appease his brother by bowing down to him, by letting go of his own sense of self-importance, by saying, Adoni Esav, Esau, I acknowledge that I've done wrong to you. You are the master in this situation. And he bows to him. But at the same time, while he bows, he still sends a message to Esau that I am not going to be a pushover. And that is why he utters the words, or sends the message through the messengers, Im Lavan Garti. I have been living together with Lavan. And the rabbis say, I've been living together with him, but I've been keeping the mitzvot. So I was tough enough, I out-toughed Lavan, one of the most difficult, duplicitous characters around. So I'm not going to be a pushover. Note, he is not being aggressive, but he is being assertive towards his brother, telling him that you're going to have to face me. I am an independent, autonomous person. It's going to be between you and I. And then he gets himself ready, as we've seen in the other ways, by preparing for the battle, by preparing meticulously for the confrontation. If it's going to become a confrontation, he's prepared for that. He also knows that he needs to pray to Hashem, and that is part of it. So even though we may say God helps those who help themselves, you first got to pray to Hashem, and then he helps himself by preparing for this encounter. And the final thing that he does, just on the eve of the battle, and this is maybe not that deliberate, that is, he encounters his own self. And that is the great wrestling match that is between Jacob and himself in this week's Parashat. He is prepared to face his own demons. He is prepared to struggle with his own self so that he can know exactly who he is as he reaches out to his brother. So several different suggestions, techniques, or strategies are suggested by our parasha when it comes to preparing for a meeting with a difficult person. If you remember only one of them, then remember this one. Say it with flowers, be diplomatic, and win over your opponent or win over that hostile party. I wish you all Shabbat Shalom.